So you're buying a tosai or maybe a nisai.
Yeah.
Something with a bit of sumi, a showa or a sanchi.
Yeah.
When you're looking at that sumi, what are you looking for that tells you that it's going to come up and it's going to stay up? What?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my God. Right.
Yeah, that is a good one.
So many variations to all this. I think the biggest bit is knowing if it's going to come up. This is at times, I don't want to sound, my eyes, just experience looking sometimes tells it, and trying to translate that into words and descriptions is not easy.
Yeah,
However, it's important to understand the different sumi types as well, understanding the lineage, but then also understanding sort of variety specific growth patterns, which are really, so if we take, we'll focus on Showa. We've done quite a bit in the appreciation bits on this in the past couple of weeks. So you've got two types of sumi that we've shown. The one where we've got the sumi that sits and develops more in the top of the skin, like the fish we showed last week. And then we've got the other type that looks like, when it's younger, like the Kage effect in the skin, where you can see all that grey underlying part there. Now, these are two very different beasts. That grey underlying part, you see it a lot in Dainichi Showa. We'll focus on them. That is just very unreliable. So what you're seeing there is you're seeing the whole sumi pattern. Generally, you see it all masked up there on the fish. It's just that grey blue colour. And what I'm looking for there is some kind of progression of sumi on the body somewhere. So if that's all greyed out, it could be within them grey areas. It could be the Motogoro in the fin, some sumi that's developed on the head. Even sometimes, you have to be wary sometimes when you've got that Kage effect and it's Subo sumi sat on the white ground, that if you look at sumi that's sat on the bene, that can be a bit misleading, because there are certain lineages of fish where if you get that effect, you might not ever get uniform development. The Kage style sumi on the Shiroji is just going to sit down, whereas that on the bene can progress and come through faster. Now, there's not that many where we see that. But what you'll often find is in like some of them Dainichi Showa, you get some on the bene that's a bit more progressed, but you'll also see elements within the sumi on the Shiroji where you've got that same progression, almost like little dots within the middle of the scales or around the edge of the scales where it starts forming. When I've got that in conjunction with some, somewhere on the body, the Motogoro, the head, or on the bene, where obviously the bene is shoving that sumi up a little bit, that's why it's sat there. With that lineage and my experience now of having them, that's enough to know that sumi will at some point come up. However, then there's all the variables to this in how you're keeping it, how it could possibly react to your water. And the biggest thing with a Dainichi fish, an example, is time. This is not a process you're going to rush, because that sort of sumi needs time to work its way from deep in the skin up to the surface and form. That's why you see it go through the different hues of grey over the years before you eventually get the sumi, because it's coming up and developing. But that's not to say that to be honest with you, is less reactive to environmental stuff like heat and all them things. That sort of sumi just needs time in most cases, not in all cases. The other sort of sumi, the stuff that comes up, so you see absolutely nothing. You're looking at a Showa that looks like a kohaku with a few shimmies on it. Them ones are exciting. If you like seeing fish change radically, you need that sort of sumi. However, that sort of sumi is massively temperamental. You can't predict where that pattern's going to come, because what you'll get is you'll be looking at some Shiroji, all of a sudden you'll see a couple of shimmies. Then before you know it, when it's on that process, you've got half a block of sumi, and then before you know it, you've got a completely different fish.
Yeah,
that's the sort of sumi that from cranking down in winter, going from your growing season to your winter season, you'll see progression quickly and really quickly. Yeah. Because it just, when it's in the right environment, it just flies. But it's also the sort of sumi that will react nasty to a big bump in temperatures. You know, these summer ones that you talk about, all of a sudden you get a big blast of temperature, that sumi goes, don't like this, and vanishes again.
Yeah.
So it's, but like I say, and there's always specific, you get that sort of style of sumi in some Dainichi fish, but not all. It's not the typical style at Dainichi. Whereas like the Umo shows I've featured, they were, that surface sort of sumi, they were renowned for it. It was an inherent trait with those fish. You rarely ever saw the other style of sumi. And if you saw that Dainichi style of sumi on these Umo showa, it's a fish I generally stay away from, because it can be that sort of shows it. It gives you the hope that, yeah, that'll develop one day, and then it never does.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Sankey are even more interesting. Wife's watching again, getting all clued up. Look, yes, the Sankey are a real interesting one, because again, you do get the sort of two different types of Sumi going on, but it's more prevalent where you're just getting Sumi come out of nowhere. Given it's a very inherent trait with Sakai fish, and given how much Sumi is in, how much Sakai blood is in Sankey in general these days, it's becoming a more and more widespread and common trait in fish. But you look at, again, the Sakai stuff, so you can get a lot of Sakai Sankey that when you're looking as Tosai and Nisai, you're looking mainly at a Kohaku and very unpredictable Sumi progression.
Yeah.
You've got to take a chance, but I would always take a chance, knowing from what I've seen of them and what I've had of them, it comes. Most of the time, it comes somewhere. You're just gambling on where. That's the element with that. You get other Sankeys. Who are we talking here?
See that one?
Yeah.
Where's she gone? This Tamora Sankey.
Yeah.
See the gap in the back?
Yeah.
Between the Benny plate?
Yeah.
That was like dots. See this one? This was like in lines. That's faded with the heat.
Right, so that Sumi there you're talking is a more predictable type of Sumi. So what you're seeing there, yeah, that one I can see clearly. That is the difference there. The two Sankeys you've just shown, Frank, are them two differences in Sumi styles.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that.
Completely. So, that bigger Sankey where you can see it all sat there. That's never really going to change too much. All you'll get there is, sometimes it might dip a bit. Sometimes it'll come back up. Again, temperature could affect that. But the Sumi pattern itself is probably always going to stay that way. Whereas that other one you showed, that's Sumi for sure. That's the one in the surface of the skin. And that's just going to be a joyful ride on that. You just never truly know exactly where that's going to end up.
Yeah. The one with the spots, when I first seen it online for sale, I thought, if that Sumi was to come up in that gap, that'd just make it nice.
Yeah.
And then when it arrived, it was on its way. Then we were like, do you reckon it's going to do it? I was thinking, I think it'll do it. And then it's slowly but surely, it's starting to look nice.
Yeah. Just got to address one comment that's just come through here that Ricky's clearly punching, ain't he? Bit harsh, folks. Come on. But yeah, no, I agree.
No.
Got lucky with that one.
Must have a big peduncle, Ricky?
Fair play, mate. Fair play. So yeah, that's what you've got there, buddy. It's knowing. I think the biggest thing is knowing the two types of Sumi first of all, because when you can get your head around which one you're looking at, you can probably know what sort of journey you're going to be in for with it, and then just other variants are probably more specific to lineages, which you'll get.
Yeah.
And knowing them, that's just harder knowledge to obtain, unfortunately. And a lot of that knowledge, I don't just go around asking the breeder, how do your fish develop? A lot of it I've gained is from having those fish, having them, seeing them either in Japan or over here, and you just get to see it over time. Your eye just soaks it all up. Because also, sometimes how they'll develop in Japan is different to how they might develop over here in my pond, and even then how they'll develop in your pond.
Yeah.
So there's so many, always with it, so many variations and little nicks to pick up. But generally, I think if you learn those two different styles of Sumi, interestingly as well, this surface Sumi, that we're talking about, in Tosai, that can sometimes show in full glory. So you could be looking at a Sankey, a banging pattern, thinking, oh yes, the minute you get that growing, and it's the term that's been sort of coined, baby Sumi. The minute you get it growing, it all just vanishes.
Yeah.
You get that sort of 15, 20 centimetre fish that it's 35, 40, and there's just no Sumi.
Yeah.
Never, ever. If a fish like that is growing well and it's got all the Benny qualities and everything there, never give up on it, because it's literally only probably 6 months away from re-emerging and coming back even better than it was.